Okay, we're back. Let's try again. You never get anywhere if you don't try again. So let's try again. We're going to read from the Bible, Exodus chapter 7. And we're going to listen to Ron Wyatt. And we're going to read about John Huss, the goose, an early reformer. First, a little bit from Mr. Wyatt.
And during this time, I was hobbling around the city a little bit. 22 autosomes from your mother, 22 autosomes from your father. You get an X from your mother, you may get an X or Y from your father, all right? This blood had 23 chromosomes from the mother's side, one Y chromosome only. You see, the child could not have developed if they hadn't had the autosomes from the mother. So all of his physical characteristics were determined by his mother's side of the family, her autosomes. His maleness was determined by this one Y that came from the source, not a human male. Then they said, this blood is alive. And then they said, whose blood is this? I said, it's the blood of your Messiah.
Wow. Hopefully others watching this now have seen this already and know exactly what the context of what he's talking about is. If you don't, it's really worth looking into. Just follow some of this story and you'll learn all you want to learn. Look at that. These are the cows, the calves. He built an altar in front of the calf. They have found the rocks near Mount Sinai, which have all the carved, it almost looks like graffiti, you know. It's just cows, lots of bulls with horns. That was what some of the Egyptian, the bull god worship stuff. So while Moses was up in the mountains, they lost their faith and lost his leadership, and with Aaron there without Moses, they started to revert to carving on rocks and making golden calves and dancing to them and whatever else they did. Let's read about John Huss. Huss the preacher. We've read that. So we'll read Huss the reformer. And then we'll try and upload it because the computer's working so far. The teachings of John Wycliffe had come to Bohemia as early as 1390. A close alliance had been established between England and Bohemia because England's king, Richard II, had married Anne of Bohemia, the sister of Bohemia's king. Scholars had traveled between the countries, and one eminent scholar, Jerome of Prague, had spent some time in Oxford, Wycliffe's school, where he had absorbed the teachings of Wycliffe. On his return, he had spread Wycliffe's writings and teachings throughout Prague and the university. Although reform had been in the air for many years, the spread of Wycliffe's teachings gave it direction and a doctrinal foundation. John Huss had become thoroughly familiar with the teachings of Wycliffe, and, convinced of their truth, he had himself begun to teach them in the university and preach them in the pulpit. It is not surprising that the full fury of the Roman Catholic Church was soon turned against him. When general reform, especially of clerical corruption, was preached, even many Roman Catholics supported the reform movement. But when Huss and others began to preach doctrinal reform as well as moral reform, Rome turned in a rage against the reformers and especially against Huss. It seems as if, from the time Huss began preaching, Huss was under suspicion. A curious document turned up near the end of Huss's life, which was a collection of quotes from Huss's preaching and teaching. thus secretly and obviously with the intent of using them to charge Hus with heresy. But the more Hus emphasized that at the root of Rome's evils lay doctrinal error, the more Hus lost the support of the Church, of the politicians, and of most of those in authority. It was the students Hus taught in school and the common people who loved his preaching and who continued to support him. All right. And now let's read from the Bible, verses 14 through 18 of Exodus chapter 7. For so hath the Lord said to Moses, The heart of Pharaoh is made grievous, he nigh deliver the people. Go thou to him early. Lo, he shall go out to the waters, and thou shalt stand in the coming of him on the brink of the flood, and thou shalt take in thine hand the yerd that was turned into a dragon. And thou shalt say to him, The Lord God of Hebrews sent me to thee, and said, Deliver thou my people, that it make sacrifice to me in the desert. Till the present time thou noddest here. Therefore the Lord saith these things, and this thou shalt wait, that I am the Lord. Lo, I shall smite with the yerd which is in mine hand the water of the flood, and it shall be turned into blood. And the fishes that been in the flood shall die, and the water shall wax rotten, and Egyptians drinking the water of the flood shall be tormented. And now King James. And the Lord said unto Moses, Pharaoh's heart is hardened, he refused to let the people go. Get thee into Pharaoh in the morning. Lo, he goeth out unto the water, and thou shalt stand by the river's brink against he come. And the rod which was turned to a serpent shalt thou take in thine hand. And thou shalt say unto him, The Lord God of the Hebrews hath sent me unto thee, saying, Let my people go, that thee may serve me in the wilderness. And behold, hitherto thou wouldest not hear. Thus saith the Lord, In this thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Behold, I will smite with the rod that in mine hand upon the waters which in the river, and they shall be turned to blood. And the fish that is in the river shall die, and the river shall stink, and the Egyptians shall loathe to drink of the water of the river. So ends the reading. So ends the recording. See you next time.